Coach TJ here. Thought I'd shoot a video about good shooters keep shooting is the title. Good shooters keep shooting. What do I mean by that? The other idea I had for a title was good shooters are good missers. Good shooters are good missers. Coach? And I don't think you hear a lot of coaches talking about this, recognizing this, understanding this. And I see so many teams, especially because I'm associated with youth basketball. And another side note with youth basketball, as far as keeping a team up, positive, and doing well, is a lot mental. And it's a lot about what we say to kids and how we treat kids to keep them in that state of mind as far as being positive about who they are and who they are as a person, as a basketball player. Kids want to please. And so anyways, I think it's a big deal how we talk and communicate and the things we say and then the things that we maybe don't say, but also how kids perceive things that are said. So anyways, without further ado, I'll get into my topic of discussion, which really stems from seeing players that are good shooters get down on themselves when they start missing. They're good shooters, they've been good shooters, they've been the lead scorer on their lower level teams, let's say their rec teams. Then all of a sudden they have a bad shooting streak maybe, or even just missing a couple of extra shots that they're not used to missing. And I just think that we all have to realize, and I tell all my players all the time about shooting percentage. And if we just even look at the NBA with three-pointers, we're talking a 40% three-point shooter is a good high-level three-point shooter, a high-level player, if he can shoot at 40% from the three-point line. And I like to explain to the kids this, and how many does that mean out of 100 shots? How many is that player making if they're a 40% three-point shooter? And of course, they'll figure out that they make 40 out of 100. And so how many do they miss? They miss 60 out of 100. That's 20 more shots they miss than they make. And that's a high-level professional three-point shooter. And so when we get down to the youth levels and just talk about field goal percentage, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but if you're listening to this video and have any idea about basketball, you know darn well that kids are, if you get a above 50% field goal shooting team, you're doing pretty darn good. And maybe some of your players, your bigger players, down low post players are maybe higher than that. But as a team, a lot of times you're shooting, let's say, between 45 and 55%. I don't know the exact numbers, but you can look up NBA teams and they're shooting in the mid 50s, let's say, but oftentimes they're shooting in the high 40%. So anyways, 50%, let's say, right? 50%. That means you make half, you miss half. You shoot 100 shots, you miss half of them. And that's in close, right? Or inside the three-point line. So I just think it's important that as coaches, we explain that to players. And instead of making comments or making a kid feel like they missed a shot, it's more important to talk about the quality of the shot they took. The only time I will ever get on a player is when they're forcing a bad shot. They're defended heavily, or they're throwing up a shot that they're not able to turn and square up, if you will, to the basket and take a good look at the shot. I will never get upset at a kid for missing. You can miss 10 in a row and come back and make the next 8, you know? It's all about percentages, and we have to realize that as coaches. And as long as the kids are taking decent shots within their range, that type of play, I'm good. And I think we need to be real careful with disappointing a kid with their shooting and adding that level of stress to them already. You think the kid wants to miss? Do you think that they're already counting their misses themselves and realizing that they've missed a shot? Of course they are. And if we can de-stress that kid by saying those are good shots that could have just as easily gone in as not. And so you need to keep shooting that shot. Every time you're open in that spot, you shoot that shot. That's a good shot to take. And again, explaining to the players that the percentages, and even with professional athletes, I always have told my shooters that good shooters keep shooting. Doesn't matter if you missed. Good shooters keep shooting because you're gonna shoot a certain percentage, right? If you're a good shooter and you shoot a good percentage, you're gonna have your misses. So good shooters don't let it bother them, and they just keep shooting. They keep shooting their shot, their good shot. I wanted to talk about good misses, right? A good shooter is a good misser. What do you mean by that, right? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, I'll tell you what. Good shooters, such as, let's say, a Steph Curry, when he does miss, or any good shooter that misses, 9 times out of 10, their miss drops right in to the lane, or just outside the lane if it's in the short corner area. I rebound for good shooters, and when they miss, I don't have to go running across the gym to get their ball. It drops into my hands. And if I'm a post player or I'm in that area, I can quickly, easily put the ball right back up and score. I think as coaches, we need to encourage our shooters to shoot and our rebounders to rebound, because they're gonna miss 50% of the time, right? And it's a great opportunity for an offensive rebound. And offensive rebounding is another whole topic on its own. But if we can get kids to shoot the basketball and be comfortable about shooting it and confident about shooting it, and realize that they're gonna miss and it's okay to miss, and in fact their miss as a good miss oftentimes can result in basically like a pass to the post area, and you say that and explain it to the kids that way, they don't feel so uptight about shooting the ball in the first place. And then your bigger guys, your post players, the guys in the paint, know that, hey, when that shot goes up, if it doesn't go in, there's a good likelihood that's going to just bounce right into an area where I can just grab that basketball. And here I am 2 feet from the basket and able to put it right back in. Good shooters keep shooting. Good shooters have good misses.